Hello, dear friends. What a blessing to be with you here. Here we are with another study from the book Courage by several spirit authors through the mediumship of Francisco Xavier. What a blessing to be with you today. Another Thursday, another chapter. And today's chapter 8, which André Luiz titled Decalogue of Good Cheer. And this is a beautiful chapter because he's going to list 10 scenarios and what we should do about them. And you asking me, oh my Lord, 10 scenarios are going to be here until tomorrow. No. Look, short, concise solutions, suggestions for our issues while incarnated. And this is something that I've learned by studying Spiritism is that the superior spirits, unlike you and I, are very concise. They're precise on their words. They think about how to structure things, and they don't put any extra or spend time with things that are not important in the long scheme of things that might concern us in this lifetime. But when we look back, the things we were worried about when we were teenagers are no longer the things we worry about today. They were important then, or the things are important now. And if we are more focused and concise, perhaps we can do better use of our time as well. All right. Decalogue of Good Cheer by André Luiz. Number 1, difficulties, question mark. Do not waste time with lamentations, period. Work, period. Who does not have difficulties in their lives? Or at least we perceive the things that happen to us as difficulties. If we do a life review, which we should do every day, according to Question and Answers of the Spirit's Book 919, the essay by St. Augustine, doing every day, we do a life review, a daily review, and figure out what did I go through? Could I have done things differently? Not to ruminate and be guilty and remorse, but did I hurt anybody? Did any of my actions have unintended consequences? How can I do better? Can I reconcile with those who have difficulties? And he says, do not waste time lamenting. The first thing we do when something goes and it's difficult, we complain to one another, we ruminate, and we don't accept. And he says, work. 2, criticisms, question mark. Never be upset by them, period. Make the most of those that are useful, period. We don't usually see criticism as being useful because it hurts our pride to be criticized or someone to notice something on us, on what we said, how we did things. We might take it personally. The Portuguese word for that is melindre, which is sensitivity, right? We are overly sensitive to everything. It shows that we are a little bit more self-centered than we could be. Jesus never worried about what the Pharisees thinking about him or what's gonna the Roman powers at the time do. He kept doing the work, but take the most criticism that are used. So there are things that people point out to us, especially if they sting, right? That might be valid. They are helpful. The same way we think of our friends of the past who we may have not treated one another rightly, and today we return together. We are poking in each other's wounds in both realms of life, and those are helping us grow, helping us develop resilience, to be confident, to build our self-esteem. Yes, you criticize me the way I did my thing, but I'm doing this because of this. It helps us with our convictions, right? But there's always a grain of truth in criticisms in general. So let's take what's useful. 3, quote, incomprehensions, question mark. Do not try to make them greater through your demands and laments, period. Make your own way easy, unquote. So if we do things and we're not understood by others, he says, don't make it greater by demanding or lamenting. Sometimes we do things in a good state of mind and then people don't understand us. That's okay. As long as our actions are aligned with the laws of God, we are doing the good. That's in the first part, the first chapter of the third part of this first book, the divine laws. So as long as we have a clear conscience that we are working with Christ and doing the good, and we can compare our actions with the divine laws and see that we are aligned, then we are doing the good. Intrigues, question mark. Do not give them shelter. Cast enlightenment through your charitable behavior, unquote. Intrigues are common in spiritist groups, spiritist movements, because those are made of people. Spiritism doesn't come with intrigues, but even Kardec had the people who doubted him. So who are we? Jesus has people who doubted him. He says, don't give shelter to intrigues. Cast enlightenment, make it brighter, shine a light on what's going on through charitable behavior. What is charitable behavior to you? I'll give an example. People are intriguing. Charitable behavior may be helping that person who is hurt, because when we create intrigues, when we gossip, when we slander, that means we are suffering. The person doing that behavior is suffering. So we can be charitable towards them. We can help them in the area of life that they may be struggling. We can pray for them. We can bring them to our spiritist um, assistant meetings. We can be silent sometimes when we shouldn't douse gasoline on the fire to make it brighter. We should step back and breathe and say, okay, I'm doing it right. My actions align with the divine laws. This is intrigue. This is something that I don't want to put fuel to the fire, because we don't want the lower influences to attack us in a sense. Persecutions, five persecutions, never pay them back. Forgive and forget. Someone's persecuting you. They're like, oh my God, why is she or he doing this or that in that area of life? Don't go and try to pay it back and go behind their backs and do the same. We're just getting an eye for an eye, and that's not what we're here for. Forgive and forget. Forgive, let it go. Thank God Disney's already putting it out there on the kids' minds. All right, let it go from Elsa. And forget, because we don't want to be ruminating this. We want to focus our time, our precious time in this lifetime, doing the good. Slander, never become furious when evil attacks. Always serve. Let's say, for example, you're doing works at your spiritist center, and someone's slandering you, saying that you're doing it for personal reasons. He says, don't become furious. Serve. Continue to do it and show to people, cast out enlightenment by showing that it's not about us. Even though we have our helpers, we have friends, we have people who came ahead of us, who are experienced, who we admire, they're also people. The work of Spiritism is Christ's. So you are serving Christ. No matter where you are in the Spiritist group that you serve, you are under the guidance of Christ. Of course, we follow the leadership because they started there. A lot of times paying for everything, because the Spiritist culture is of culture in the sense the Spiritist precepts are that all services are free. Nobody gets charged for going to a Spiritist center, receiving the passes, attending a lecture, but the directors of that group are most likely footing the bill as well, and we have to bring to attention that things, the good works also and not just in the spiritual realm, and the physical realm as well. And that gives us an opportunity to be charitable and to give a little bit what we have to work to help our spiritual group. Seven, sadness. Keep away from any disposition towards depression. Pray embracing your own duties. When something sad happens, something happens when it makes us sad, it's okay. But he says, don't keep on that rumination that can lead us to depression, because the self obsession can end up with depressive environments, circumstances, and then we end up with our obsessors and spiritual friends around us. And if you are suffering from mental health illness in general, including depression, seek help. Seek help from a psychiatrist, perhaps a psychologist, someone to work through that sadness. Why are you so sadness is fine. The emotions and feelings we have are fine. They're teaching us that that thing was important. So of course, if you lost someone in your life, you should be sad. If they departed, they went to the spiritual realm, we should be joyful. But as a person, you're missing them, so you're sad. Then we work with psychologists in grief, or maybe an unresolved project, or things aren't going well. Then if it's more developed, is a little bit more advanced, then we go to psychiatrists. Maybe the brain chemicals need to be worked on a little bit so that we can function in life. And then we go to the spiritual center to get spiritual assistance to make sure that's not of a spiritual cause. Not everything that we suffer in this world, in this life, the vicissitudes of life, especially when we talk about health and physical body and mental health and physical health, derive from a spiritual start with a spiritual root cause. Sometimes it's from us, sometimes it's things we have to undergo based on our previous life choices. So we go look for help, and then we go talk. And then there's prayer, there's the gospel at home, and there's and science of, not just science, but we see in the works of Andrea Luiz as well, that volunteering is a very important component of improving your mental health, because you have an inbuilt system of connectivity, of pleasure, of serving others, that allows you to make that multimodal, multidimensional approach to a health issue. Number 8, disillusions. Question mark. Why blame others for our mistakes? Go forward, giving the world and to life the best you can. This is hard because sometimes we do something, we don't get what we wanted. We try this and it doesn't work. We get disillusioned. But it's not we shouldn't blame others. He says, go forward and give to the world and to life the best you can, because we came here to serve, friends. The whole thing about me first, self-care first, enjoyment first, travel, enjoy, core memories, that's a distraction, because we need to teach ourselves and new generation that we came here to help one another. Yes, we have to take care of ourselves so that we can live longer, so we can deserve more. But it shouldn't be just about me, my mind, my house, my community, my checklist to get to Harvard. It should be, where am I finding myself in the world? Where did God put me? What am I here to do? What talents do I have? How can I give back to my community? And believe, no matter how wealthy your community is, there's a need. If there's no need of physical, because the houses are humongous and nobody is lacking anything, there's this emotional, spiritual need in the community. And that need can be fulfilled by helping those in the other side of your town that don't have as much. Because as long as they are still lacking, we can't progress. We are all interconnected. The law is of society. The law is not of isolation. And in the planetary transition, we are being asked, and the problems of the world are being splashed back into our face, splattered all over social media. for us to see how much need that is. And we need to help one another. We look for ways to have less, to use less, so that the resources can be funneled to someone else. 9, illness. Question mark. Avoid irritation and nonconformity. Think about the benefits the temporary body suffering bring to the eternal soul. How many of us see illness as beneficial? Because when illness comes, we see this very clearly, especially the book Evolution to Worlds. When we did something in the previous life that caused us to be guilty, feel remorse, maybe suffer sometime in the lower zones, be rescued, come. Those areas in our paraspiritual body have vibrational knots. And then we come to the earth, we reincarnate, and from the spirit's mind, command the paraspiritual body that commands the development of the physical body. So we're predisposed to certain illnesses, and then there's a part of the trial, there are parts of expiations, we're suffering something we did. Illnesses can allow us to purify, to etherealize our spiritual matter so that we can get better. That's the time, that's when we are resilient enough to undergo those difficulties. And we sometimes don't enjoy and appreciate the healthy state of our physical bodies until we lack something. So I'm not constantly thinking about my hands that wave and talk to you and hold the book and can manipulate the microphone, the camera, the computer to be here. But if tomorrow my arm was hurting, my hand was hurting, I'll be like, oh, thank you, hand, for having done so much in the few decades of life that I have. And that's usually, as humans, we don't take the time to have that gratitude, the daily aspect of thanking the physical body for carrying us through this life, through this teaching. So illnesses can be have benefits. The benefits the temporary body sufferings bring to the eternal soul. So those benefits are going to last and be with us. And says, if you're ill, if you're sick, he says, avoid irritation and nonconformity. Because irritation, nonconformity, resentment, being rebellious against the designs, that why am I sick, why me, that does not bring health. That allows us to stay on a state of dis-ease or unhealthiness. Number 10 is a Decalogue. So number 10, last but not least, failures, question mark. Do not believe in defeats. Remember that by the blessing of God, you are now at the best time today wherein you can smile and start again to renew yourself by the means of many resources. So if things we tried didn't work, that's fine. Today's the day, today's the time. You are, by the blessing of God, now at your best time. Friends, I know the world looks discombobulated out there. Maybe you're watching this in the world of regeneration, and it's not as discombobulated as the planetary transition that we experienced in 2023. But there's no better time on the earth to be alive. We have medicine, we have shelter, we have technology as we are learning to use it. Yes, there are severe inequalities and injustices in the world, but these are brought forth to the surface so we can see it. We can feel indignated by the fact that there are billions of people going hungry every day, for example, knowing that we have enough resources to feed everybody. So that can drive inside of us that desire to do better, to do the good, to go and find an organization to donate food, to go and learn about how not to throw away food, how can I live with less. So those are drivers. Things are around us, and each and every one of us, the 8 billion of us, have a specific mission on this planet and in the universe. So there's plenty of work for all of us to do and contribute towards the betterment of society, because society is the sum of all of us. So when each and every one of us improve, we move Earth and humanity on the Earth a little bit higher. But remember, we cannot ascend until our friends who have less can come with us. And when I say less, when have less resources and more difficulties that you and I have. Here we have the Decalogue of Good Cheer. Let's meditate on this message, and God willing, I'll be back with you next week with another study of the book Courage. Until then, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.